Hey everybody, welcome to Leon's Chainsaw Parts and Repair. So I'm working on Al's XL 800 sent to me and a batch of other parts that I'll be keeping, but this saw he wants me to get going. I think it was one of those things, since he was sending the parts this way, might as well send the saw too. So supposedly it would pop off a little bit, but never could quite get it going. And I can see one of the problems right away, and this clearly predates his ownership of the saw. So I went to put some gas in this, and I tried it anyway just to be, just cover, maybe by accident it'll run, but I could tell, see, this is already stiff. Now Tygon does get stiff, and there's nothing that'll prevent that I'm aware of. It is just the nature of the beast. But when I popped the tank, or the cap, I could smell the nasty fuel smell, and that I'm not impressed with. Try and see, look how hard it is just to get the damn filter out. But then you see that stain right there? That is fuel varnish. Now, that didn't come past a fuel filter, because you can see the fuel filter is clean. Where it came out of is this fitting right here that unscrews from the tank. God, was that? I guess that was in the view. So this fitting needs to be cleaned out. I've had the, well look, that's why it wouldn't run right there. See that crap? It's not to say there isn't more stuff wrong with it. I'll go through it thoroughly, but my guess is that's the bulk of the reason right there. But it definitely was left with stale in the tank at some point. That filter's got a faint tinge of smell, but I think it's just remnants of the tank stink that was kind of caught in there. Anyway, I went to pull this damn thing loose, this fitting, and you can see it's kind of boogered there. So it was in there tight enough that it was flexing my 3/8 open end enough that it would round off. If that happens, just get out your old buddy crescent or adjustable wrench if you want to be technical about it. It's got wider jaws. You can cinch it down on there so you get a bite across all the metal, and it'll pop it loose. Now, somebody used some sort of a thread sealant on this, I think. It's either that or it was spun in there one turn too many. This is a tapered thread. This is a pipe thread. You don't have to get medieval on it, and I typically don't put any thread compound on here. I don't have them leak. You get it good and tight. I mean, I guess maybe if you left the saw on its side with a full tank of gas for 5 months, it'd probably leak a little bit then, but who does that? Intentionally. I guess, who does that intentionally? So anyway, my plan with this video actually was not really the chainsaw focus. I've been pretty intermittent, hit and miss, whatever we want to call it, about putting up new content these last, oh hell, this is October. I would say for almost a month and a half it's been pretty sporadic. And yeah, been just a lot of stuff going on, and really none of it good. I take that back. Coming home and finding this place, still in good order after the wildfires, that was good. That we're so fortunate on that. It isn't an exaggeration to say that I could walk 100 yards in any direction from here and find some stuff that didn't make it. So I do count us extraordinarily fortunate in that whole Alameda fire. Latest tally I've seen, and it's probably pretty close to the final one. They've got a pretty good handle of what happened, or of how many things burned. It was like 24 and some change. 2,400 and some change. Single family residences, whether that was a trailer, a manufactured home, a stick-built apartment, whatever. That's how many people ended up losing pretty much everything in that fire. So pretty messed up. It's not something you would expect to rip right through a town in the middle of this valley. I mean, we've got Bear Creek running up the middle, and we don't normally have winds out of the east-southeast, but we did that day, and they were blowing at about 40 miles an hour. And that was enough. When that fire started on the north end of Ashland, it just took off, and away it went. 2 days later, 3,000 some acres, and all those homes were scorched. So, yeah, not the best thing ever. It hasn't totally gone bad. It might clean some of this up. So anyway, it's been a summer. It really has. I mean, we've all lived through the COVID crap and whatever that entails for your given state. You know, it's been tough for everybody, I think, in one fashion or another. Then in late July, I'm losing track of time, but that's close enough. Late July, my father-in-law had a heart attack. He was in the hospital for, geez, better part of 2 weeks, somewhere in there. And when he came home, he just wasn't in good shape. They basically had told the family that, hey, you know, there's nothing else we can do. He might as well be at home and, you know, be comfortable. So, hit and miss with some hospice stuff, blah blah, no need to go into all those details. Long story short, he passed away sometime in early August. So that was a tough one for, you know, wife and kids, and, you know, I liked Ray. He was a good guy. He was always very caring and willing to give the shirt off his back, always looking out for other people. So, you know, that was a little rough for the family. So we no sooner got done with that, and I want to say third week of August, my mom had a mini stroke. Now, she's really lucky on that. Her only lingering effects that she knows of and that the doctors can find is some weakness in her left arm on occasion that kind of comes and goes, which of course is, you know, that's what strokes do. So we got pretty lucky with that one. Well, then that fire came ripping through the valley the Tuesday right after Labor Day. We no sooner got through that, got home, and my dad started having problems breathing. And he, well, in hindsight, should have gone to the doctor quite a bit sooner, but for a variety of reasons, didn't. And by the time my mom took him to the emergency room, he had full-blown pneumonia. Now, he's 83 and smoked for 45 years. He quit when he was 71-ish, somewhere in there. And that was about a pneumonia, too, that kind of really got him convinced he needed to kick that habit, the smoking, at that point. But 45 years doesn't leave you unscathed, unfortunately. So while he was in there for what we thought was just pneumonia, they realized he was in stage 4 of congestive heart failure, which is not exactly where anybody wants to be, but he's a tough son of a gun. So, let's see, they thought they had him dried out. He had a lot of fluid around and in his lungs. They thought they had him dried out pretty good. And he came home. Almost got that fitting clear. He came home, was home for about 2 days, and it was going sideways again. So he ended up back in for another solid week. I think it was a good solid week. And they had him on the water pills and blood pressure medication, you know, the cholesterol, all the various stuff. These drugs treat different things, you know. I think a lisinopril is blood pressure, a low-dose blood pressure, but it's also good for your heart muscle. So anyway, he's in there and they're experimenting with all this stuff, trying to get the dose just right for him to make it work. And I guess the first time that he was in, the amount of Oh, I think the drug's name is Lasix. The amount of it that they had to give him to get his body to expel all the freaking water that he was retaining, that dose was high enough to cause some moderate to a little worse kidney damage. It's like, well, shit, what else can go wrong? So, anyhow, like I say, he was in there for that amount of time, good week. And thankfully, the attending physician knew exactly where things stood and respected that. My dad has lived a pretty, active life. He's, he was always in jobs where he was working. Even after he retired, he was still doing physical labor and keeping up with that property over on the coast. It was nearly 4 acres of coastal, right on the coast. So that scrub brush, down here I'd trim it once every 4 or 5 years. Over there you're going to trim it twice a year. It's that kind of wet climate that everything grows in. So anyhow, his back's been jacked up since he was basically my age. I'll be 41 in end of November. So he's lived with a bad back all that time. Well, they talk about, well, maybe surgery this and maybe that, and he was real blunt with him. He's like, maybe my back wouldn't handle that. Like, as in, I know it wouldn't handle that. I can't do physical therapy and, all that kind of stuff that it takes to recover from, say, a crack your chest heart surgery. So that was off the table. So thankfully, again, the attending physician listened and just said, all right, well, being at home is the best thing for you, so we're going to work to get you home. And however long that is, it is, basically. So he's been home a week now, and the first 2 days were pretty much that critical time. If he had started filling his lungs back up with fluid, in that amount of time, it would not have ended well. But his body is not done fighting, and he's doing pretty good. I was over there yesterday before going up the Firewood Hill with the girls and chatting, and he was in pretty damn good spirits, and I think he's gonna do okay for a little while. But again, with congestive heart failure, who knows? You don't know when that switch flips and all of a sudden your body just can't sustain itself anymore. So we'll see. But that rambling mess in a nutshell has basically been what the summer of 2020 has been. So, to be straight up honest, I'm amazed I've gotten any freaking saws repaired and any content posted, because there's been a lot of shit going on. So, yeah. So for all the guys who tried to get a hold of me in July, August, September, wanting a saw repaired, and I said, man, sorry, can't do it. That's what was going on. It was no joke. There was no bandwidth to focus on saws. And it got pretty frustrating, I'll be honest with you. I mean, it got to a point where I was actually considering getting out of the repairs altogether. Just one stinking thing after another. And then there'd be those moments where I thought, oh shit, I can get out in the garage, I'll get something done. And it would be the biggest pain in the neck. It'd be like that Super Easy I was working on yesterday and today, that just one thing after another, you fix one thing and find 2 more things wrong, or you can't diagnose it because you've got 4 different things going and it's hard to tell which one is which. But I'm hoping, I guess I should say I am cautiously optimistic that 2020 has thrown enough horse shit this direction, and we're going to turn the corner and do some good stuff. It's my hope. I don't know. You got to focus on something, right? This cap off of this damn 800 should have a valve in there. Now, I have never gotten one of those plates out, so I don't know how this is going to go. What I try to do is put a thread down in there, a threaded screw, and see if I can pull that whole plate out. If not, I have to just put a different cap on this. But I'll be damned if I'm going to fill it up with gas knowing how bad that looks, because it's just going to leak right back out. Alright. So anyway, the dry summer, which of course is what resulted in so many of those fires all around our state. I mean, if you've watched the news, you know that it's been bad. And I'm not sure this is working for beans. I'm pretty sure it's not. It's been bad all around the state in terms of fires. The one that came through Phoenix and Talent was actually small. Huh. I'll be damned. There's a new one for me. So there's the remnants of the old duckbill down in there. This plate didn't come out. It's just that little tiny aluminum insert that I'm going to have to get off the screw. And then I can tap a new duckbill in there. I suppose the IPL for an 800 would have a reference to that. I suppose. I don't know. I haven't spent a lot of time studying it, but I also have never had a reason to. So anyway, with that dry summer, we were on full shutdown. I haven't been able to legally run a chainsaw anywhere, quite frankly, for the last 2 months. We've been on extreme fire danger, and when it hits extreme, it is shut down. No exceptions. They even had the logging boys shut down from, I think it was all of August, and if it wasn't all of August, it was most of it and all of September. They just dialed it back. I think I read yesterday that it went from extreme level 4 to high level 3. Part of that was the cooler weather. You probably can't hear it on the video, but there's a drippity drip from my gutter out here. It actually has rained a little bit today. Nothing to write home about, but with the way it's been steady off and on, we might hit a 1/4 inch, which was basically what they were forecasting. Again, for most, well, a lot of places that would be a pittance, you know, not even worth mentioning. Where I grew up on the coast, this wouldn't be called rain. This would be called a shower and get the hell out and mow the grass type weather, you know. But, yeah. So anyway, with fire danger having knocked itself down a little bit, I should be able to start thinking about getting the 82cc challenge done. Because that I have not given up on at all. I would like to get there's a chunk of oak up there on the firewood hill, and it looks like it's fairly consistent in diameter for a little stretch. Now, I'm sure it's hollow in the center. Most dead oak is. If you've ever cut it, you start with a nice hard outer ring, and by the time you get about a third of the way in, all of a sudden your saw just sinks and you see saw powder. It ain't sawdust at that point, it's saw powder because it's rotten, and then you get a hollow spot. If you're really lucky, it'll be holding a bunch of stank old water, and you get some of that on your leg or foot and have that smell with you for a day or two. But anyway, I'd like to get the 82cc challenge going. I have not given up on that at all, and I'm pretty sure, yeah, I know I did a video on that Poulan 8200 that's also going to be a part of it. That was one side effect of having to wait. It turned out good. Damned. Okay, there's a new duckbill valve. That's cool. It was being able to get another competitor in it, you know, by having to wait until now. So that'll be good. Have one more brand represented. I looked at the Husky, what was it, L77. And it's close, but that's a 77cc. And a 5cc difference is just enough, not to mention, that isn't Husky's most advanced saw, or neither are the older ones that we're going to be running, but I've worked on a couple of those 77s, and it didn't seem like, now I could be wrong, but it seemed to me like they were kind of the equivalent of Homelite C-Series. Probably dependable as hell, but not going to set any real speed records. That was just my impression. I say, I'm sure other folks out there have had far different experiences. But anyway, that Poulan 5200 is a, what was that one, 80? 81 or 85? I don't know, whatever it was. It was close. Close enough. As again, this is for fun. But I've also got the makings of another challenge in my mind, because I know I put a video up of the Pioneer P60 that I got not too long ago. That was one of the few saws that I worked on for myself, excuse me, this summer. And that I couldn't pass up. I've been wanting a 100cc Pioneer. And I would take a 100cc Poulan. Don't think that I wouldn't. If I find a good deal on one, I will. I will totally snap that up, and we'll do a 100cc challenge too. So I've got the 650 up in the attic, and I've got the Super 650. And quite frankly, the Super 650 should be the bomb diggity. The carburetor is missing its fuel screen. Is that a Tillotson? Yeah. So that would be totally cool to put together that kind of a challenge too. If I do that though, it's going to end up being, I'm not going to try and push it for this year. Push that off into the spring. Got enough other stuff going on this year. But that's on my mind. And if I'm really good, somewhere in that time period I'll score a ProMac 1000. Now I'm shooting from the hip there, but I think that one's 100 cc's. I know the 125 is much bigger. That one's 122, somewhere in there. It's big. It's bigger than a 750 Homelite. I know that. So, but I'd love to have a Mac represented, even though that ProMac 1000 is nothing more than a partner P100. It's rebadged. That's okay. I don't care. Doesn't bother me a bit. But that P series of Pioneers, that really has captivated my attention. That P26 that I ran at TJ's. Oh geez. Whenever our first Raising Hell with the Neighbors get together was, I want to say that was almost 2 years ago now, maybe 2.5. I ran that P26, and the only reason I picked that up, it's kind of funny, the only reason I picked that thing up was a friend of mine. What the hell is wrong with this gasket? Maybe I can't walk and talk and chew gum at the same time. Son of a bitch, no wonder it wouldn't run. The gasket and the diaphragm are reversed. The diaphragm is on top of the gasket. That's why that wouldn't run, among other reasons. But it never would have run like that. So maybe I can talk and do carbs at the same time. I'm not sure. We'll see. Anyway, I picked up that P26 because the local, down in Ashland, Ross Johnson tire sales, he's been doing this for God knows how long. And he always talked about how he had two P26s, and he had the one for parts and the other one he just cuts firewood with, and he loves it. So it's always reliable, good power, lightweight. So naturally, I'm like, well, she's on eBay all the time. I ought to check out and see if I can find one of those and just try it out for myself. So I did, and and it was pretty good. And then, of course, I saw the Farm Saw, and Farm Saw 2, and well, those look pretty damn cool. Probably ought to have, one of those. And then I picked up that P51, and I cut some oak up on the firewood hill last spring with that. And damn did that cut. So then I'm like, well, sheesh. Might as well watch out for a P60 or P61. And it turned out. So, it's a disease. Doesn't help that green's my favorite color either. Not necessarily the Pioneer green, but, just saying. I like green. Alright. Well, I'm guessing that would run. But there's also a problem over here. This clutch drum is seized. I don't know if there's a missing washer in there or what, but I guess we'll tear that apart now and find out. I've never seen Allen head screws. Oh boy. I have never seen Allen head screws on the clutch side of one of these things before, so I hope these aren't something that were forced in there that I'm going to play hell getting out. But I have my suspicions that that's exactly what has happened. We'll see how that goes. Do I have anything over here? I'd like to use the rattle gun. I think I'm going to need my DeWalt kit. So anyway, like I say, fire season's backed off. I've got my wood pile almost full. Damn, there's no Allen head bits in here either. Wood pile's pretty much full. Maybe one more truckload will take care of that, and then I'll be set for winter. So some of these distractions that I've had. Here's the Ryobi kit. Damn. I think there was one in here at one time, and I probably roached it. Some of the distractions I've had will be going away, or at least not present for a little while. So we'll get back into some more chainsaw stuff. This will seem anti-productive, but I'm actually glad that I haven't bought any new parts lots this summer. Not a one. At least if I have, it's only been very small on eBay. Very small. And that's been good because I'm not totally caught up from all the other ones. I think I can use that piston stop on this. That's been one of my other issues, is I had so many parts coming in for a while. I was just out of space. I didn't have room for box upon box upon box of parts. So I really was trying to focus on getting parts listed. Kidding me? The angle's wrong. Oh, maybe this does have something in the cylinder that... A lot of home lights have a piece of casting in there that prevents these kind of piston stops from going in. I know some guys don't like using them, but if you're just doing a little rinky-dink thing like a clutch removal. And you're careful, you can do it without damaging the piston, but anyway, trying to get caught up on the parts. I'm getting close, at least closer. Free up some shelf space, get everything in stock. I'm amazed at what parts are selling for, certain parts. I'm surfing eBay doing the normal morning check-in, because when you're in this business, that's what you do. Anyway, saw a oil pump diaphragm for the Super 2, the 12356, along with a gasket. Opening bid was a cool 49 bucks. My God, I know they're not easy to come by, but damn. That's clipping on a whole new level right there. So I'm hoping. No, this is not going to end well, folks. This is not going to end well at all. I could see that flexing. I'm hoping that Sugar Creek Supply, who had, last I heard, been working on a reproduction of those, will come out with them soon. There's a dude in Greece that's got a reproduction, and his price, of the product, I don't think is, there we go, terrible, but I'm confused about this. That's not a Homelite part. But it cost to get it to here is another 23 bucks, which is probably about right. I don't know what their currency is compared to ours, but wow. Yeah, somebody threaded this. I've never seen one with that in it before, those kind of threads. Anyway, makes it expensive. And there's a lot of folks, I don't go very many days without a, hey, do you have that diaphragm in stock? And I'm like, sorry, nope, I sure don't. When I do have them in stock, my opening price, or my price is a hell of a lot less than that, but consequently, they go quickly. So yeah, all that stuff. What other crap can I ramble about as I have a conversation while we're working here? That's not the right drum. That is absolutely not the right drum for this saw. I think this is a early Super XL drum. 3/8/8. But with that bearing that's pressed in there, it's riding right on the crankshaft, and that won't work. Huh. I'm going to have to go to the IPL and figure that one out, I think. Unless. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Now, the other question is, do I have a race out here? That I'm not sure of. So anyway, that's what's up. That's what's been going on in my world. A whole lot of craziness. So I would love to have a fall that doesn't have all of the nut crazy stuff going on. It'd be nice to be quiet. Of course, we'll have to get through a presidential election before we can get any quiet out of it. But we only got about a month left of that, so that's good. Do have some new stuff I'll be putting on from Vistaprint. I've got this next year's calendars here. And I didn't think I'd actually picked up enough new saws to do all new ones in HomeLight, but I did. I should have never doubted my my addictive abilities there. But next year may be the year that I do a calendar that's not HomeLight, that's all the other stuff that I've got. I think I'll have plenty by then. So we've got calendars. I own only a few t-shirts. There's one of my customers that's like, hey man, I saw you wearing that in one of your videos. Order one, I'll buy it. Okay. It was more of a gag thing just to say that I had when I got a couple of them originally. But hey, throw a few of those up there, and then I think I picked up a few coffee mugs, and it's updated. It's not this same logo, but I don't think it was. I can't remember now. Anyway, picked up a few coffee mugs too. So sometime, maybe this weekend, maybe tomorrow morning when I get up, I'll get some pictures of that stuff and get all that stuff posted, so that it's actually up in time for folks to buy it this year. I know I was really late on all that last year. Alright, how does that look? Looks good, but for you people at home keeping track of what I'm doing, probably helps to have a sprocket rim on there, doesn't it? And since what came off was 3/8, the spur sprocket is going to get a 3/8 rim back on it. And that was an 8-tooth sprocket that came off. So if I have 404, maybe I don't have any 3/8 8. Nope, I guess I don't. I have to put a 7-tooth on. That's easy enough to change out if Al wants to run an 8. So yeah, we're coming up on Halloween and Thanksgiving and then Christmas, and then we'll start a whole nother year. So who knows what it'll bring. I'd like to think it'll be less eventful than 2020 has been. I'd love to see some sort of normal, whatever the hell normal is going to look like these days. It'd be nice to find it. It'd be nice to be able to get the kids back in school where they belong. It'd be nice to turn on the TV set or flip to a news website and not hear about a million different stupid things happening in any given day. If I ever hear the word coronavirus again, it'll be too soon. I hope to God that one of the vaccines that they are working on will put an end to this nonsense, although I'm skeptical. This is not a political statement, it's a statement of skepticism, because the common cold is a coronavirus. And if we don't have a vaccine to the common cold, I am skeptical of how we can have a effective, long-lasting vaccine for this particular coronavirus. So, but I would love to be proven wrong. I'm not a doctor, don't want to be. Not a scientist. Unless you consider chainsaws a science, and then hell yes. But anyway, I'm hoping 2021 will be less eventful by a long shot. Alright. There we go. I'm ready to see if this thing will run. I've jabbered long enough. Again, this video was not intended to be about the chainsaw repair. It was more just telling you guys kind of what's going on, why I haven't been, posting much. Again, I'm hoping that that's all going to change. I got a lot of saws coming in, I know that. That's part of why I'm trying to hit it hard today while it's raining. And get what I've got here as busted out as I possibly can. I got those 3 ready for Kent. Kent, if you're watching, those 3 are ready. I need to email you or text you or something. I got a couple for Hal that are ready. I just have to have time to get to Grants Pass, or if he happens to make it down to this end of the valley. Alright. Completely impromptu. This side of the carburetor looked good. I didn't touch the diaphragm side. That could be terrible. Let's find out. It drew fuel. We might be in luck. A lot of air bubbles. That popped. Might have flooded it. Huh. Wonder if that's what it was doing to Al. I don't know what's wrong in that starter, but I'm going to have to figure that out too. Wow. Okay. It's got good compression, in case you guys hadn't noticed. Alright, well, I'm going to go through that carburetor like I probably should have before, but this side was clean. It was worth the risk, right? So that's the update from here. I'll do a separate video on this saw when I actually get it running. So again, if you've reached out to me about a chainsaw repair and been put off, I do apologize, but now you know a little more why, and hopefully over the next couple months we'll get things back to normal around here.